Hi everybody, welcome to episode 3 review of House of the Dragons. Battle scene, check. Violence, check. Gore, check. Fire-breathing dragons laying everything to waste, check, check, check. Episode 3 was jam-packed with action sequences, political play, and family drama. We have Prince Daemon, who's hell-bent in proving he should have never been displaced as the heir to the Iron Throne. He's in battle with the crab feeders. On the other hand, you have King Viserys, who is drunk, miserable, and stuck between his wife, his son, and his daughter. That's right, I said son. How did this episode play out? Who actually won the battle? And what happens when there's a new heir threatening Princess Rhaenyra's position as heir to the Iron Throne? Let's find out. So Tino, episode 2 was high on politics and storytelling, and we knew that was laying the foundation to what was coming in the future. This episode literally takes place 2 years after episode 2, so a lot has happened. For people who are missing gore and violence and action, the episode literally opened up with a scene from the battle that's taking place at the Stepstones. There's like a flag that's billowing in the wind and it's caught on fire, and the fire is like engulfing it. Then you see this hand that gets nailed to the post, and that's classic Game of Thrones vibes, right? We've seen this happen before. We've seen this play out. At this point, the crab feeders, Kragas, the leader, and the Myrish pirates have the upper hand. The Valerian soldiers and Prince Daemon are the ones that are on the back foot, but not for long, because when this guy calls for help and being saved, a dragon comes out of nowhere. Prince Daemon is riding it. The dragon is soaring. There's flames. He lands right on that guy who wanted to be saved. Right?
The funniest thing is, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but I was laughing my ass off because the guy's going, "My prince is here, my prince is here," and all of a sudden you hear, bam, and there's a dragon foot.
Literally, you were either going to die at the hands of the crab feeders and the crabs, or you were going to die at the hands of your own prince and dragon. So that was pretty hilarious.
Honestly, this was probably an easier death for him versus slowly eaten by the crabs.
That's for sure. And then you see the might of the dragon. You see the power that the dragon has and the confidence behind having a dragon, because as soon as the dragon comes into the picture, everyone is running for the caves. The leader of the crab feeders is running to the caves. And then you see Daemon, he's literally taunting him, like, "Come out, why don't you want to face me now?" And so then we're going to see as the episode progresses how having a dragon is a great advantage. But what if your enemy is hiding in the caves?
Yeah, I found this so strange because I was wondering the same thing. I was like, first of all, why are there men fighting? I don't understand that. You have dragons. That's why you have. There's a reason you have those dragons. There's really no reason for you to shed blood for your own people and have them fight, right?
Yeah.
But then we saw that is the reason is because if they don't, then they'll just keep stay hiding in the caves.
Yeah, but the thing here is, and we saw that the dragon comes. Obviously, this dragon is a huge target as well. Even though the dragon is powerful, it is susceptible to getting hit and fired at. And here we saw arrows coming towards the dragon, coming towards Daemon, and he actually gets hit by a fiery arrow. So obviously they have to fly off. But yeah, there is a little bit of susceptibility, but they obviously have the upper hand. But when you have an enemy that's okay hiding and waiting out your rations, your morale, then you see that it's pretty much a stalemate.
Yeah, and the weird part was, these guys are pirates. They are poor, I imagine, right? They don't have any, how are they surviving for, how many years, right?
No,
I was like, well, maybe they're feeding on...
They loot. Remember, they are parking their ships at their trading posts. And so this is why the battle is going on, because, Westeros will fall if they can't control the trade there. So while this battle is taking place, while Daemon is showing his might, on the other hand, you have his brother, the king. He is wrapped up in family drama. He was miserable this episode. Each scene of his went from bad to worse. He was straight up depressed. He was drunk. He was hungover. He was in a self-pity mode. And woe is me. This was King Viserys here. And that shows you such a big contrast between the two, because Daemon is a go-getter. He's not going to stop at any length to get what he wants. And then you have Viserys, who is on the back seat, who has 1,000 other people coming to him with their own wants and needs. He doesn't even know how to get what he wants. He's between a rock and a hard place. And being king is not that easy, as we see, especially for him. Because even though they are celebrating the second birthday of his son, so yeah, Alicent Hightower, now queen, was able to give him the heir he was looking for, and that son he always wanted, right? And they even name him Aegon, because Aegon is such a huge, like, pivotal figure in the history of the Targaryens. So automatically you see that they're trying to tie in past history, future glory, but he's not happy. He's miserable. Everyone else is there conversing, having a good time, and he's just sitting there by himself, taking it all in, seeing his wife converse with others, because Princess Rhaenyra is not there. In fact, he was like, where the hell is she? Where in the seven hells is Princess Rhaenyra?
No, that's true. And I think, the reason, and we saw that from the last episode as well, the reason that he is feeling depressed, because that's exactly what happened. He knew that his daughter is upset about this whole ordeal of, him marrying her best friend. And then at the same time, you have his brother who was kind of off to his own thing. So he's in a bad situation. I mean, I don't think he has a lot of friends right now from that standpoint, except Otto Hightower.
Well, is Otto Hightower even a friend? Because he is a supporter, but he also wants what he wants. And he wants his daughter, Alicent, to do a variety of things. But basically, Rhaenyra, she is shown removed from this party that's going on, this feast that's happening, this hunting excursion Viserys and like the whole realm is on. She is on the outskirts because this is a celebration for everything that she cannot give him. She, once again, is not the son. She knows what Aegon means to her father.
Yeah.
And she also even has this conversation with him, like, none of this is happening for me. You guys don't care about me. This is only for this son that you have, and obviously the impending birth of another child. And it's awkward as hell for her, because her best friend is now her stepmother. Her best friend's kids are now her siblings. As soon as her mom passes away, she's displaced by her friend. And in those 2 years, her friend was able to give him a son that, her mother wasn't. So it's an awkward situation all around. And I don't know how King Viserys thought it was going to be any other way.
Yeah, and that's why we see Rhaenyra is in the same spot. We see this one scene where she's sitting. I actually found this hilarious, to be honest with you, because she's sitting under that tree and she's reading a book, right? She's depressed, but it's like it kind of gave me that it's like a teenage girl vibes, right? Where you're going through stuff and you're upset and you're just listening to music and same track over and over because that's just kind of how you're feeling. And in this case, they show this one guy playing some sort of instrument. She just keeps going repeat or
exactly.
Play again.
So one thing about Alicent is that she's still trying to play this middle person. She is trying to support, obviously, her husband, but she's also trying to look at things from Rhaenyra's point of view. And she goes to Rhaenyra to talk to her. Obviously, there's nothing left between them. Even if Alicent wanted there to be something, Rhaenyra has a wall up now because she essentially was betrayed by her. And now that Alicent has given her father a son, it's now threatening her own identity once again. This identity that she's questioned her whole life is now being questioned once again at the hands of her friend. So I don't know how fruitful this conversation would have been in Alicent's head. It wasn't in reality.
No, it looked very awkward. I mean, you could sense that tension between the two. And I mean, I can't imagine there will be anything that Alicent can tell her or say to her, right, to make it better. I mean, there's that damage is done.
Like, sorry, I had a son.
There's nothing you can do at this point. So another thing that I loved was they were all having a feast, as you said, and there were dogs outside kind of the tent area that they were all hanging out in. And then there was a pug. We've seen dogs in Game of Thrones series before, but this is the pug. This is a modern dog that is,
I
is
know.
his sign of royalty, and all of that. And there's a little small pug sitting in somebody's lap. And I was just like, what? Where did this pug come from? Like, I
Yeah,
just couldn't
I
believe
have no
it.
idea why you're so interested in this pug because even when we were
It
watching it,
looks so out of
oh, look at
place.
that dog. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
what
looks so out of
are you
place.
talking
This
about?
is, all of this other stuff is sold, like, back in hundreds, thousands of years ago. And then all of a sudden you see a pug with a nice collar around.
So maybe a pug was around back then. And they were.
Maybe.
So the different homes are gathered for this hunting excursion. And then you see all these women that are gathered together and they're talking about Prince Daemon, what he's up to and how he's out of control and needs to be stopped. And basically they're talking to Queen Alicent about him. Like, hello, the king needs to do something. It's the king's responsibility to clean up that mess. And you see that there's this guy there who comes and he's like a crippled individual. And he's like, oh, I can't go hunting. Can I sit with you? So I thought that this guy was going to be an informant. He has some
Yeah.
important role to play. We never saw him again
No.
during the
I think,
episode. Maybe he will come back, but I just
yeah.
thought that was random. They just showed this guy walking with his crutches and then he just comes and sits and the women are like, okay, yeah, sit with us. But who is he? What was he doing? I don't think we ever found that out.
No, I think we'll definitely find out more about him because, he got a lot of screen time for a nobody, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Your favorite part of this episode is probably the pug. My favorite part was when the Lannisters made their appearance. So I love the Lannisters. I love the bad guys. So I absolutely was ecstatic when Tyland and Jason Lannister showed up, these twins. So obviously, hundreds of years down in the future, we know that there was Cersei and Jaime Lannister, and they were twins. So now you're getting a family tree of this home, and you see that twins run in the family. Jason Lannister is the guy on the throne at Casterly Rock, while his twin, Tyland, is the one who takes care of political matters. He's a political savvy individual. We already know the Lannisters are powerful because of the Game of Thrones has shown us this. Here, obviously, the Valyrian home is more powerful than them because of their navy might, but Lannisters have a role to play. And here, the first meeting Jason has with Rhaenyra, he's saying, I would like you to be my lady wife. So
Yeah.
he's already trying to play his cards.
Typical Lannister. That's just how they are.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look for your advantage if you want your house to survive. And here, he's not the only one that has this future in mind. Even Viserys is considering or wants the Lannister, household to unite with theirs in marriage. So you see, he's championing for Jason, but when Otto Hightower asks him, and this is Otto Hightower who has his own cards to play, but Otto asks him, what do you feel about this proposal? And he says Jason's pride even has pride. So yes, the Lannisters are very proud. They're very boastful. They're a very rich household. But I love that when Jason talked to Viserys, he said, uniting our homes is really good for you. It'll make you even more powerful. It would solidify your seat. And Viserys was like, do you have dragons? Right.
Yeah.
So he's trying to show that you might be all good and strong and powerful, but we have the dragons that automatically makes us better than you. Little does he know, like 200 years in the future, a Lannister is going to kill one of your descendants.
That's right,
and
because there
then
were no
down
dragons.
goes your line.
And speaking of Otto Hightower, we see his cunningness, and he's trying to get whatever he can do, he will do. And he suggests to the king that, hey, maybe you should have your son, his grandson, get married to Rhaenyra instead.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was the camera zooms in to this little 2-year-old little baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, obviously incest runs in the Targaryen house, so that's not out of the ordinary, but it's like, dude, he's 2 years old. His sister is 17. At least let that kid grow up a little bit. But Otto Hightower has his cards to play and he's going to play them. And he is also not the only one, because later on you see Sir Strong play his cards, with the king. He's the master of laws, I guess. And so he is there saying that forget all of that. There's another option available to you. Why don't you get Princess Rhaenyra married to Lord Valerion's son, Lenore? So this was really interesting because if the king hadn't married Alicent, he would have married Valerion's daughter, because the same argument is made here. pure Valyrian blood. The reasoning being, once again, for pure bloodline, and also to get the sea snake back on his side, because right now they're against him. They're in battle right now, and who knows what's going to happen at the battle. So then obviously his real clear motive comes out. It's not that he wants to offer his input so much on the marriage. He wants to offer that sly input, like, hello, you need to figure out what's happening with this battle, and you need to show your might there. You can see how disgusted Viserys is. He even says, I want to suffocate this fucking politicking that's going on.
He goes, I'm here to hunt, right? And we see him drinking, wine kind of throughout the episode. And he's just like hammered. He keeps drinking, and he's like, man, I'm just here to have a good time. Just stop with your nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. So, Rhaenyra didn't really have that much footage, I guess you want to say, or screen presence in this episode, but every scene she was in had a point to make. One of the scenes she had with her father was addressing this marriage situation. You have a duty, you need to marry, and she's like, I don't want to get married right now. And he's basically telling her that this is your job. You have to marry and secure our line. And when he suggests Lannister, she's like, no, this is not okay. She rides off into the woods, and following her is Sir Criston Cole. If people didn't realize in episode 2 that there is going to be something going on between the two, because the eyes they were making at each other when she selected him for the King's Guard, here it became crystal clear. The way they were talking to one another, the way he follows her, the way he tries to protect her later on when the boar charges at her. I think all of this lays the foundation for their maybe secret romance budding in the future and wreaking havoc on marriage plans that her father has for her. And the reason I say this is because she asks him in plain words, was I made the heir of the Iron Throne just so I could, increase the standing of a lord from Castle Rock? And he says, jokingly, I can kill him for you. So, there's something going on there. They have some kind of understanding that's forming between them. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens between these two characters.
I agree. Rhaenyra, as she's laying down right there, middle of nowhere, it looks like, and she's laying down, and all of a sudden this, there's noise, and this wild boar is charging at her. I loved it because she was just brave, strong. Right? She just took the knife and she just went bam, bam, bam.
Hacking. She hacks it.
Yeah, it took me back right away to Robert Baratheon, if you all remember him and how he died. And I was like, wow, okay, so these wild boars are obviously dangerous.
Obviously.
She was strong. She's
just hacking it, and blood is splattering on her face. And when she makes it back to camp, everyone sees that. They see blood on her face, on her side of her face, neck, hair. So they know, obviously, she's seen some shit, And
the weird part is, we have to remember, this is a hunting trip, right? The king isn't hunting. He's just drinking wine, right? And all the people are kind of gathering the hunt for him, right? So he can kill him. While the only person that actually did hunt, that is a Targaryen, was Rhaenyra.
No, and the biggest contrast here was, like you said, that everything is being set up for the king. He doesn't want to really essentially go out and hunt. A stag is captured for him. He's tied up. And then Jason Lannister hands him the land to gore the stag with. And it takes him 2 times because his heart is not in it. He's only doing this because he's under peer pressure. And I feel like this is the story of Viserys, the first 3 episodes. He doesn't do what he wants. He gets pressured into following, the suggestions of people around him. And then when the stag does come down, and can I just say, it was sickening to hear the squeals and the cries of the stag. But when that stag goes down, you see everyone is cheering around him like he did something amazing and he did this on his own.
So he tries a couple of times, and finally the stag goes down, and then there's this awkward pause because everybody's looking like, oh, well, all right, yay,
His heart wasn't in it at all. And on the flip side, you see a white stag come towards Rhaenyra, and Cole takes out his sword, and Rhaenyra's like, no. I feel like that is also a contrast between them, that he gets pressured into doing things. She has the guts to tell someone, no, you don't need to do anything, right?
Not just that, I think this showed that who actually deserves to be on the throne between just the two right away. I mean, she has the guts to actually charge the hog and kill him. And let's remember, right? They are hunting for the white stag. They couldn't find the white stag for the king. So they say, hey, we couldn't find the white stag, so this will do for you. While the white stag actually finds Rhaenyra. So I found that fascinating, that I feel like all of the things are pointing that, okay, between the two, she is clearly the strong leader.
So Viserys and Alicent have a few scenes together where he is miserable and she's trying to guide him and talk to him. One is in front of this fire that they have for these animals. And he's basically saying, did I make a mistake getting married to you and having these kids with you? Because I had a vision, and in order to fulfill that vision, my wife died. So none of this should have been happening, right? So he feels maybe this guilt, or it's like a drunk's remorse, you know, it's coming out. And then you see them, they're in this room together. And once again, they're talking about Rhaenyra, her marriage, how to deal with all of that. And then this letter comes, and it's a letter from Lord Valerion's younger brother. And he has basically sent this letter to Viserys saying, we need your help. Come save us. This battle is not going our way. And he says, like, there's no way I'm going to send this aid to my brother. And the queen says, is it better for the crab eaters to win, or is it better for them to lose? And so then you see that he's going to take the initiative and send the help out. And once again, it shows that his instincts don't work. He has to listen to someone around them, take what they say, and then act on it.
In this episode, to be honest with you, the king, I mean, man, he lost kind of his decision-making capability stuff. In the last episode, we saw that. And this episode, same thing. I'm like, man, this guy should not be the king, because he hasn't made a single
He didn't seem like a king. He seemed like a pawn.
Yeah, he does. He listens to whoever, you know, is kind of has his ear and makes the decision accordingly.
Yeah, and then Rhaenyra, when Rhaenyra asked him, did Daemon ask for your help? He said he'd rather die than ask for my help, but I'm going to send the aid anyways. And then you see they're back at the stepstones. There's a war table. The Valyrian soldiers are gathered around it because they're struggling right now. You have Lord Corlys on one side. You have his son Lenore there. And then you have his younger brother, Lord Daemon, right? So Daemon, he has lost trust in Daemon. He doesn't think Daemon can get this done. He's the one that sent the letter for help. And Lord Corlys even says to him, don't start a mutiny in our group, because if you don't show your loyalty or support or faith in Daemon, the whole enterprise is going to come down. Then you hear on the other side, Lenore, he's saying, no, we need to use Daemon. He should be bait, because if the dragons can't reach the caves and kill off the soldiers, let's lure them out of the caves. How do we do that? Daemon, because if Daemon goes, they're automatically gonna come out. And at this very moment, Daemon shows up. He's being told that, hello, something needs to be done. We need to get a move on it because our rations are running out. Cut to the letter shows up from Viserys saying that I will help you out. I am sending ships, and the ships are going to be manned with like thousands of men. So don't worry, help is on the way. What does he do? He bashes the head in of the messenger, of the soldier who brought the letter, right? And he's just going at it with his helmet. He literally has to be pried off.
We all saw that coming, though, right? I mean,
we saw it coming.
Felt that. I was like, poor guy.
That kind of shows you that, yes, he'd rather die than take help from his brother, 100%. The king, because as the king's words are being played in the background, you see Daemon rowing to this location where the crab feeders are. And once he gets to that location, he gets a white flag out to symbolize surrender. Like, I give up, I'm done, you guys win. He puts that flag into the sand, and he's waiting. Everyone is watching him, including their leader, Kragas. He's like, what the hell is happening? They start like hounding him. You know, they start coming towards him. The archers have their bows knocked. The foot soldiers are coming out. And as soon as one reaches him to take him down, Daemon unleashes. And these soldiers are so weak that one guy can cut through like 20 of them as he's making his way to the leader. And then these arrows are being knocked and they're all coming at him, and no arrow gets him. He's still killing. And then finally some arrows strike him and he takes shelter.
I honestly felt that I was in a Bollywood movie. Right when that scene came in, I was like, this is the same thing happens, right? This one actor and all of these people are coming at him and he's just, you know, killing them in like 2 seconds.
If it was so easy to lure these soldiers out of their caves, why the hell did they wait until their army is almost starving? And
Yes.
then if they were so easy to defeat, if Daemon can
You're right,
kill
he can
like
probably kill
dozens
50
of
people.
soldiers in one go,
Yeah.
why couldn't the Valyrian soldiers do that as well? So it didn't
Oh,
make
man.
sense. And then their leader, he's just standing there and looking at the sky because
Yeah,
he
he's
knows
like,
the dragons are coming.
and he's
But
doing the right thing. I would be doing
I
the
mean,
same
yeah,
thing.
but
But
yeah, what kind of leader is he when he's not doing anything? Because maybe it's his grayscale and the grayscale has taken his ability to talk. He literally utters no words,
no.
throughout the episodes he's been shown in. After the dragons come, because they're coming, and Lenore is riding one of the dragons, right? The dragons are laying waste, and then Daemon finds his entry into the cave where Kragas goes to.
Yeah.
The worst part was this was the villain. This was the guy they
Yeah.
were after since
Yeah.
episode 1. They've
Yeah.
introduced him. He goes out like this, and
Yeah.
then they don't even show him being taken
No.
out. Daemon just comes and they're showing him from the back. He's dragging something, and then you realize it's the upper half of Kragas' body. Great, amazing.
Yeah.
Daemon killed him, but how? How did he do that? And how was it so easy? And why didn't we see that aspect of the battle? Because that was the most important part, defeating the leader. And
Yeah.
so I loved the episode. I thought it was great action. I thought Daemon's show of strength was amazing. His savvy was amazing. Viserys' decline from king to, I don't know, like a pseudo king, maybe, if that's the right word, was great. But this major aspect of the episode was a letdown for me because I wanted to see how Daemon takes him down. The show made it look so easy for
Yeah.
Daemon to get all of this done. So why did it take so long? We don't really know if it's been 2 years of battle, but what we do know is that it's been dragging for so long that people are saying we need to send help, and help is coming. So why did it take for this moment for this to happen? And when it happens, why is it so easy? That's my only gripe with this episode.
I agree. I think I also did not like that at all, how quickly they move through those things. I mean, part of me is like, okay, this is good, right? We are moving fast in this series now. But I think they should have at least devoted probably 2 episodes to this whole thing because
Oh, that would have been long as hell.
yeah, but I mean, they should have. I think this whole battle thing probably could have been major part of one episode because right now all we know, I mean, we didn't even get to even hate this villain that is apparently causing issues. We don't know really
he's
kind of
not
what
a
is
major player. He's not a major character.
apparently not.
The story is between the 2 brothers and Rhaenyra. We know this, but if you have built up this guy who has the potential of making Westeros go down in like poverty or whatever, so then give him that due. That's all I'm saying. That being said, I can't wait for the next episode. I want to see what happens with Daemon now that he has accomplished his goal. What does Borlis do with him? How does Viserys take this news? So that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, and one thing that I got out of this episode, besides the pugs, and Rhaenyra, amazing, loved it. Daemon, oh my goodness, he's a Bollywood superstar at this point, right? And the last thing is, I remember the king is like, he had too much to drink and he's like hungover, and I'm going to use this now every time that I'm hungover, which is the gods have punished me for my indulgence.
What indulgence do you have?
Well, I mean, I drink and I know things.
Okay. That being said, guys, we can't wait for the next episode. Join us then. But before that, please comment down below and let us know what you thought of episode 3 and what do you think of our review. Do you agree that the battle should have been more drawn out? Did Daemon achieve this a little too easily? And also, what do you think about the dynamic between Viserys and Rhaenyra? Where is that headed? Follow me on social media, guys. I am Burry602, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.
See you. Bye.